Hello, good crowd. We've got Dillan DiGiovanni with us today, along with Robyn Shumer. Dillan is an integrative identity coach, and Robyn is the founder of What's Your Story USA, and we're talking about the power of storytelling to change lives. So stick around. You don't want to miss this episode.
Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show with your champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
Please support the sponsors who made this episode possible, including Johnson & Johnson's Caring Crowd and GoodCrowd.School. Robyn, Dillan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to have you both. Robyn, why don't you take a minute and tell us about What's Your Story?
Sure. So about a year ago, I gave a TED Talk, which was called What's Your Story? And during that talk, I shared a lot of personal stories that a lot of people just didn't know about me. And what moved me to even give this talk was hearing a lot of influential speakers over the year choose to be vulnerable and share their stories. My call to action in that TED Talk was to create a community of storytelling called What's Your Story? And it's been wonderful. We launched in September of last year. We've had about 10 events so far, and it's great. They're at local venues all around New Jersey and New York, and we get 6 to 8 storytellers together who talk about, small things that impacted them in a big way, moments of triumph and failure. And the really great thing, Derek, is that every event raises money for a nonprofit.
Oh, great. What are some of the nonprofits you've raised money for?
We've raised money for the March of Dimes. We've raised money for Project Heal. Project Heal is an eating disorder nonprofit that raises money for ensuring that everybody can have access to care. So they provide treatment grants to people with eating disorders who can't afford treatment. We have raised money for local domestic violence programs. We've raised money for a camp for disadvantaged youth in Newark, New Jersey, Pancreatic Cancer Network. So lots of different organizations.
Oh, that's great. Dillan, you shared your story at one of the events, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Give us a little recap. What's your story?
The one that I shared, or just kind of my background with storytelling?
Well, tell a story you told, or at least an abbreviated version of it, if you would.
Well, I think I spoke at 2 of your events, and one of them I shared a big breakthrough that I had. I had an eating disorder as a teenager, and then kind of worked through it by myself without going into treatment. And then in my adulthood, had a transformative experience with a health coach, where I had been neglecting good nutrition in my mid-20s, then had led to an acne outbreak. And it was pretty devastating. And started working with this health coach, and through working with her and improving my nutrition, the acne went away. And then several years later, it inspired me to become a health coach, which I've been doing for the past 10 years. Yeah. Excellent.
And so tell us a little bit about your work as an integrative identity coach.
Yeah. So my certification is as an integrative health coach, but I have a really strong, long professional background with what's diversity and inclusion work. And I saw this trend with the clients that were coming to me is a real desire to know who they are. And then especially with recent kind of cultural events and cultural changes in the country and the world, people wanting to know who they are within their system and within their relationships. And I have all that training professionally, and then of course my personal experiences. And so I combine strong nutrition and lifestyle habit coaching with a real profound identity exploration and identity development process in my coaching.
Excellent. Excellent. How does that work change lives? How do you impact people?
That's a great question. Well, it's a fundamental need to self-actualize. And to be able to do that, I think everyone needs to be really heard and have the experience of being heard and seen and validated. ideally we're doing it for ourselves, but we need that to be mirrored to us. And it's a real critical skill to learn how to actually listen and hold space for people. And a lot of us are told to do it, but we're not really taught how to do it. And that's one of the things that I have been taught how to do as a coach. And so a lot of my coaching is honestly to just sit back and listen, and just provide that wide open, unbiased opportunity for people to be able to say whatever they need to say in a safe environment, which then helps them become more clear about what they want and what they need moving forward. And so I actually do very little to change lives, in that, like, I don't give advice. I don't tell people what to do. I don't, guide or shame or blame or anything, any of that stuff. I honestly just create the safe space that I think every human actually craves and wants and needs. And also I provide anecdotes from my own personal experiences. I don't want to say failures, but definitely trials and tribulations, which helps, which is relatable for them to feel like it is possible for them too.
Yeah. Robyn, you've been pretty open about your past struggles with eating disorders. How does storytelling influence your thinking about your experience with an eating disorder?
Getting up in front of people, especially that first time, and just eliminating barriers and talking about it was more impactful than any of like the thousands of hours I've spent in therapy. There's something about just getting up there and being with your truth that gives other people permission to be with their truth. And the energy and the connections that are made are just so profound. So for me, it's been very, very helpful in my ongoing recovery and healing. I realize, and I say this in my talk, that I realized through storytelling that I don't have anything to be ashamed about sharing the stories that shaped who I am. And that's why I started What's Your Story, really.
Yeah. It's, have you found it cathartic to tell your story? Because you hadn't always been so open about your experience.
I do think it's really cathartic. And one of the things I do now is I teach and I train people in storytelling. I call it storytelling one-on-one, because I'm so passionate about what it's done for me that I want to give that gift to other people so that they can have that same experience.
Yeah. Dillan, how do you relate to storytelling and in your own experience with an eating disorder?
Yeah, well, I've actually been telling a lot of other stories. Storytelling for me was it was a kind of a pivot for me professionally. I've been coaching and speaking, doing kind of motivational or inspirational speaking and workshops for the past 10 years, and then was invited to do some storytelling in the past couple years and didn't really even realize it was like a craft and an art. I had done 2 TEDx talks, and that was really hard because it's very different from the kind of extemporaneous workshops that I do, right? So I was like, oh, this is a nice challenge, so I'm going to get into this, and again experience that catharsis of telling the truth rather than here's this information that you need to learn, right? And just watching people react and relate. And that led to another experience, because I notice it's kind of a natural talent I have. So I've taken to it and just try to take as many opportunities as I can. Speaking specifically about my relationship to food and my journey with it was really wonderful for me, because I know from my coaching how many people struggle. I would say Robyn and I were talking about it, at least 9 out of 10 people struggle with their relationship to food, but not everyone feels comfortable talking about it because they think they're the only one. And so to be able to talk openly about my experiences helps people feel less alone and more able to take action to become healthier or transform it.
Yeah. Robyn, what are you most proud of having accomplished?
That's a good question. Well, I'm proud of getting comfortable with my story and sharing my story, but I'm really proud of starting What's Your Story and creating this environment where people can get together and talk about stuff that matters. And not all of the storytellers are about mental health or even physical health. I have a wonderful storyteller who talks about growing up, she thought she was an expert water skier because her family told her she was the best. And then she goes to college and joins a water skiing team, and she realizes that she is not the best. And it's a very funny story.
Yeah.
So I'm so proud of creating this forum where people can entertain each other and educate each other. I'm so happy that I've created a way for me to give people the skills, to teach them the skills to storytell. And I love that what differentiates What's Your Story from other storytelling brands that we all know is that every event raises money for a nonprofit. So that's the differentiator, and I'm really proud of that.
Interesting. What about you, Dillan? What are you most proud of having accomplished?
I do really like that question.
It's a hard question.
I'm going to be honest here. I'm really proud of having accomplished an incredible relationship with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's an incredible person. She raised me by herself, and we always had kind of your typical strained relationship. But through all of this work that I've done on myself, becoming a coach, like all these careers that I always thought was always about serving other people, it was actually transforming me and who I am in the world. And for a while, my mom and I were estranged for several years, and it was a very, very challenging experience for me personally. But I kind of just kept persevering and had a lot of insights about how to kind of forgive and create space for her, and which led to us nurturing this really incredible relationship. Mm-hmm. And that is healing for her and good for me. And I'm hoping in time to be able to share kind of our process and what we did, because I know it's something that a lot of people crave and desire for how to reach that point. Even if there can't be like a mutual thing, but to be able to find that acceptance and forgiveness within yourself, accept our parents as they are. So
yeah,
really I'm very proud of that, actually. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Robyn, why did you decide that you wanted to tackle this What's Your Story USA effort? What motivated that?
I had such a great time being on the TED stage. It was so exhilarating, and the process of leading up and like crafting my talk and rehearsing it, and it was so therapeutic. And then to actually like get up there in front of people and get their reactions and engage with people, I just got such a rush from it that I wanted to. We say in the TED world that you get like the post-TED blues. I didn't want the post-TED blues. So I thought, how can I create something so that people can keep telling their stories and be really proud of themselves and get that same energetic rush that I did. And I'm very biased towards action. So if I get an idea, I do it. And yeah.
It's a good trait. Dillan, what about you? What motivated you to get into the speaking business?
Oh, well, I just love a stage. I really love a stage.
Hams.
Yeah, it's so effortless for me. And I think as I've done it more, I've learned how challenging it is for other people. It's the greatest fear, right? I think it's public speaking. And so to be able to do it and to inspire people, and then also teach them and show them how to do it, or help them feel like they could do the same thing. I think it's funny when I hear people struggle with it so much.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way, and I guess I just feel grateful for that because I love it. I'm happiest when I'm on a stage.
I actually have a harder time now getting on the stage or in front of a room of 50 people. Like that makes me more nervous than 1,800.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Robyn, what is your superpower?
Oh my goodness. You asked me this last time and I got so flustered. My superpower, I think, is just getting stuff done. Like I just said a few minutes ago, I'm very biased towards action, and I really like to be in tune with what people need and help them to accomplish it or make it happen. And yeah, so that's my answer, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay. Dillan, what's yours?
Oh, I think connecting people. I have this really incredible brain that, like, if I meet you and I remember you and I meet somebody else, I'll be like, oh, you know who you need to meet? You know, like I just make these like natural connections for people. And I think also just, helping people feel seen and acknowledged for who they are. I think people really, really like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Robyn, before you go, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show today, tell us how people can learn more about What's Your Story USA.
Okay, so if you go to www.wysusa.com, that will bring you to our website. We're also on social, and you can also email us at whatsyourstoryusa@whatsyourstoryusa.com.
Very good. And Dillan, what about you? Tell us how people can learn more about you and your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a huge fan of Instagram. So I'm very active on Instagram, and my handle on there is Dillan.DiGiovanni. And my website is DillanDiGiovanni.com, and it tells all about my story and lots of videos and other podcasts I've been on, my blog that I've like over 400 posts, I think. So there's a lot on there for folks, a lot of free, valuable content for people.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you both for taking the time to be with us today. We wish you every success in helping people to change their lives and make the world a better place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, let's do some good.
So,
At Caring Crowd, we believe everyone has the power to make a difference. Through our crowdfunding platform for community health, we empower passionate people to drive real change. Whether you work for a nonprofit organization, volunteer, or want to get involved for the first time, you can post a campaign on Caring Crowd. Join us, because caring is where change begins.
At goodcrowd.school, 5% of what you pay to learn how to make a difference goes to nonprofits working to eradicate extreme poverty, improve global health, and reverse climate change by 2045. So when you take a course to learn how to change the world, you do change the world. Get started at goodcrowd.school today. Thanks for tuning in to the Your Mark on the World show, the Social Impact Podcast. Please subscribe via YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Spotify.